Hi DIYers, I'm George from Alarm Grid. So some of you may be wondering, does the Honeywell Lyric allow you to add different user codes? The quick and easy answer to this is yes. You can add up to 44 different user codes into this Lyric alarm system. There's also 4 existing codes: the master, the installer, the duress code, and the guest code. So there's actually a total of 48 user codes that you can have on the Lyric, but 44 can be added for anyone else that if you have the system in a business, or if you have the system in a residential home and you guys have multiple family members that you want to have access to the system, or friends, then you can have up to 44 individual separate user codes, and then there's 4 pre-configured codes in the system that you can change as well. I'm going to show you guys how to do that right now actually. So the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is, if your system is at the main screen here where it says security, automation, video, I'm just going to click on security. I'm going to go to tools. Now, if you got this system brand new out of the box, the default master code is 1234, and that default master code is what you're going to use to change and add any other user codes. So it times out if I don't enter in a code, so I'm going to hit tools again, and I'm going to enter in 1234. If you are not taken to this screen that says users, events, advanced, keypad, you can read the rest, then you are not entering in the correct master code and your master code has been changed. Now you can default that by using the installer code, which is a code that you actually go in to change the programming, add sensors, change the reporting, whole bunch of different things, but that's the installer code menu. This is the master code menu. As you see here, this is where we're going to add all of our users. So the first user is going to be the master code. Master code is always going to be user number 2. User number 1 will always be the installer code on a Honeywell system. So user 1 is the installer code. You're not going to see the installer code on this screen because that actually is only changed through the installer menu. So the one that you can change here is the master code. You just highlight it, you hit edit. You can go into the user code and enter in your new code. I'm going to leave mine defaulted as 1234. Just going to hit done. If you have Z-Wave locks, you can actually put Z-Wave lock control, and you can enable the Z-Wave unlocking door. What that means is that if I enter in my master code at the Z-Wave lock, it unlocks my door and it disarms the alarm system. So that's pretty neat there. If you don't want the code to be pushed down to the Z-Wave lock, you can just Z-Wave lock control, no. Alright, I like having the Z-Wave lock control, so I'm just going to hit yes, and I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And again, this is my duress code. The duress code, if you guys do program one in, is actually, if you guys are ever held in like a distress situation and a hostage situation and you need to disarm the system because the burglar, whoever's breaking in, is telling you to disarm the system, if you have a duress code programmed in, you can enter in that code. It will disarm the system, making it seem that everything is fine, but on the back end, it's sending an emergency panic signal over to the central station, and they're going to send the police out to your house right away because they saw that you entered in the duress code. Now, if you guys program in the duress code, make sure that you guys only use it in emergency situations. You do not want to have a false alarm. Some cities and counties out there do have false alarm fees. So you always want to make sure, if you're being central station monitored, you check in with your police department or sheriff's office and you check what are the rules and fines that they have. Sometimes some cities and some counties, they'll give you the first 1, 2, or 3 warnings for free, but then anything after that, they'll start accruing like $25, $50, $75, $100. I've seen some fines even go up to $300, $400 for just the first one. So make sure that if you are being central station monitored, you actually look at the rules on your county or your police department's website. All right, so that's what your duress code does. You also have a guest code. So if you want to set up a guest code, if you have like a nanny coming in, or if you have people coming in to do work on your house and you want them to only be able to disarm the system with that certain code, you can give them a guest code. If you have children, family members, brothers, sisters, co-workers, if you're doing this in a commercial location and you have employees, managers, you can go ahead and actually create a normal user. You can hit add new. You can give the user a name. I'm I'm just going to cancel. You can enable Z-Wave lock control. You can give them a separate user code. All right. I'm just going to hit the back arrow key all the way out. Now, that was the master code menu. That's how you add multiple user codes to the system. If you guys ever need to change the installer code, you have to go to Tools, enter in your installer code. Mine is defaulted at 4112. You go to Program, Installer Code, and you can change the installer code there. Remember, I told you couldn't change it from that user code menu in the master menu. The installer code is what you use to go into Program. And as you see, if I go into programming, I can change all of my zones, communicator settings, reporter settings, system type. There's just a lot of things with the installer code that you can do. Now, this is all stuff that I'm doing locally. What happens for those of you guys who actually have a Total Connect account? If you have a Total Connect account, it makes life so much easier. You can add and create users through the Total Connect account, and it'll actually push them down to your panel. So for instance, I'm going to show you guys right now here. Let me go ahead and enable. So if you have Total Connect, meaning you have an active service with an alarm company and they've set up your Total Connect account for you, you can actually create and delete users through your Total Connect app and they'll get pushed down to your panel. So if I go ahead and I sign into my Total Connect account, give me just 1 second, signing in. I can go ahead and go to my users, which is on the bottom hand. Again, I'm doing this on a smart device, whether it's your iPhone, a tablet, an Android phone. You want to make sure you have your Total Connect credentials and you've logged in correctly. If I go here, and then right now I'm logged in as the admin user. So what I can go ahead and do after I'm in users, you see in the top right, there's a little person with a plus sign right next to the two arrows going in a circle and the little funnel, which is filter. I'm going to hit the person with the plus sign to add a user. I'm going to do a standard user only. For this, it's going to ask me for the first name, last name, for the username. This standard user is actually for the Total Connect account, but it'll actually push down to the panel as well. I'm actually going to go ahead and cancel this, and I'm just going to do a panel only user, just to show you guys how easy that is. I'm going to do panel only. That means that's going to give you a user code that goes directly to the panel only. It's not going to give them a Total Connect login. You can give them the first name, last name. I'm going to give them, I'm just going to name this test, and I'll name it 1. I'm going to do panel only user. I'm going to give them access to the Office Lyric security system, and I'll give them the user code of 4321. All right, now do I want them to have access to the lock as well? Sure, I'll give them access to the lock. I'll create the user. User code information confirmation. The user code has been updated. Automation sync has been initiated to update the user code in your panel. So what that means is as soon as I created the user, Total Connect now needs to send that information down to the panel. So this warning is actually pretty neat because it's letting you know that it's sending the user code down automatically. I'm just going to hit OK. Now, what I'm going to do to make sure that it went through, I'm going to go to my events. And if I go to my events, you'll see at 10:22, user sync begins. And then at 10:23, the user sync was successful. So now, if I go to my system and I use the user code that I just entered in at Total Connect, I'm going to try to do an arm away with my user code 4321. Armed away. Exit now. I'm going to do disarm 4321. And just to show you guys that it did go through, I'm going to go into my tools. My master code is 1234. I'm going to go into my users, and you'll see it has a test. It actually labeled it as test 3. I don't know why, but you'll see that it enabled the Z-Wave lock control and alerted it into user slot number 3. So it just grabs the next user slot available and it learns it into that slot. And I was able to do that all through Total Connect. So if you guys have a Total Connect account, you see how much easier it is. If you guys have any questions at all whatsoever on how to add multiple codes to your Lyric system, how to set up Total Connect accounts, how to get signed up for monitoring with us, send us a quick email to support@alarmgrid.com. If you found the video helpful, make sure you hit like underneath, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and enable notifications so when we upload new content, you guys get notified. I'm George, and I'll see you guys next time.